Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner Classics / Known Classics. This episode number 1181 and Doubleshot number 1075. Yep, 25 more to go until I get my 1100 Doubleshot. Okay, this time I have one Dark Horse trade and one Marvel trade. First up is technically the second to last one, but there's also one art book that contains short stories for this series for this character that says Hellboy Omnibus Volume 3, The Wild Hunt. Now, unlike the last few trades, which are about 4 or 5, this contains 3 miniseries. Darkness Calls, Wild Hunt, and The Storm and Fury. Now, the thing with these 3 miniseries is that they're the last ones. Now, some of these ones are really long. This is actually the thickest out of all the trades. Despite the fact costing the same much as the last few volumes, yeah, I think it's Darkness Calls is the longest of all the miniseries in here. Darkness Calls is 8 issues. Now, Mike Mignola does do all the writing for all this series. Now, here's the thing. These 3 miniseries are not drawn by him. Nope. They change artists on here. It's Duncan Ferrito. Now, the thing with these stories is that we're building up to the death of Hellboy. Yep, building up to his death, because at the end of the 3rd miniseries here, Hellboy dies. I'll get to that in a minute. First one starts off with Hellboy playing cards with a few dead people, and one of them noticing there's a mole in his hand. And after the card game is finished, then the mole gets bigger, and turns out there's another, like a demon, that causes him to shed his skin, and it turns into this whole thing was just a dream. Yes. And he investigates their own monsters. There's a beautiful woman pops up in here who has an interest in Hellboy. Hellboy also reunites with a flame of his. No, it's not Liz. It's some woman named Alice who says she hasn't seen him in 46 years. Though she doesn't look like she's in her 40s. She looks like she's probably in her 30s. And she has a thing for Hellboy. And Hellboy's attraction to her is very mutual. And at the end of the 3rd miniseries, Hellboy dies. Yep, Hellboy dies. How does he die? Mortal Kombat. Oh, before I get to that, they do this whole thing in here. At one point, they have a whole thing with King Arthur because Hellboy talked to Morgan Le Fay, King Arthur's smoking hot half-sister, and the mother of his son. Well, that's one interpretation of the King Arthur lore. Yeah, it's kind of gross, the fact that Morgan Le Fay would sleep with her own brother in order to get back at Merlin. Yeah. Now, how does Hellboy die? By having his heart ripped out. Yep, that's how he dies. And what happens to him next is exploring Hellboy in Hell. That's what we can explore next. Great set of miniseries. Give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. You're probably thinking, why in the world are you not talking about much about these Hellboy stuff? Hellboy is a great character, and I'm basically not trying to spoil these particular series too much, because they're just so damn good. And such good stuff for Hellboy. Now, despite the fact there's still one more Omnibus book left, which is basically collecting into a 10-issue series, Hellboy and Hell, which I will discuss that when I get my hands on the book. There's also a book that collects the short stories for Hellboy. I think it's just 1 volume. Yeah, I think it's like 1 or 2 volumes, I think it is. And then I'll pretty much all of the main Hellboy stuff. Now, Hellboy, here's kind of the strange thing when it comes to Hellboy. Storm and Fury is the last of the books, basically, that has the internal numbering with it, where it has basically each book part of a special numbering for Hellboy. Hellboy and Hell has its own numbering. And Storm and Fury is the last one they did it for some reason. Now, here's the interesting thing when it comes to Hellboy. Like, as soon as they wrapped up Hellboy and Hell, what did Mike Mignola do with Hellboy? Well, aside from continuing BPRD for a little while, they did the Hellboy and BPRD miniseries, which basically explored Hellboy's early years with the BPRD back in the 50s. That's the most recent thing they've done with Hellboy. But present-day stuff, not very much. They basically kind of slowed him down here. I'm not sure why Mignola did this for, but he did. Next up is something really cool. I actually was buying this sort of basically was coming out, though I do most of this entire series except for like a few issues. This is Howard the Duck, Volume 0, What the Duck. This contains the entire. I believe this is the 5th volume for Howard the Duck. Now, this book is written by Chip Zdarsky. This is also the first Howard the Duck series published since the early 2000s. Yep, early 2000s. Now, Howard the Duck was created by the late Steve Gerber, which, the thing is, Howard the Duck, basically, his original appearance was a lot different. Like, here's what he originally looked like when he first showed up in the comic books. Yeah, that's his original look. Which, the thing is, Disney sued Marvel over this look. Over the fact his beak looked, and the fact this character looked way too similar to Donald Duck. Yeah, Disney sued Marvel over that. Over this character. And for some reason, Disney allowed to bring this character back. Though with his beak slightly altered. But he's still Howard the Duck. Though they dropped the whole thing of him basically smoking cigars. Yeah, that's been dropped. Yeah. Because that was the thing Howard the Duck did. He smoked. And they still keep the fact he's from Duck World. Now, this book is written by Chip Zdarsky. This book, believe it or not, is my first exposure to this man's work. The man's one damn good writer, and I can't wait to discuss Volume 1, because as an actual guest star appearance by an actual actress, believe it or not. Yep. Now, here's the interesting thing when it comes to this particular book. In the very first issue of this book, we have a guest star appearance by Spider-Man! Yep, as you can clearly see from the cover. Yeah, my only guess is the reason why Zdarsky did that, because here's the thing. If you read the very first Howard the Duck book, which came back in the late 70s, which is published in this trade right here, Spider makes guest star appearance in the very first issue. There's also mention of his time with Defenders, briefly, the fact he learned Quack Fu, well, basically Kung Fu he calls Quack Fu, the fact he's made how basically Doctor Strange. Now, in case you're curious though, what happened to Bev? Basically his companion he had from the original series. Not explained here. That's explained in the next line for the series. He gets a new companion. Her name is, I believe her name is Talia. I think her name is. Yeah. Now, Howard the Duck, and I thought this was so cool they made this. Okay, he's a private investigator, and get this. The recurring character in these issues, aside from Spider-Man, is She-Hulk. Yes, She-Hulk is a recurring character in Howard the Duck. Yes. Okay. Now, the series starts out with him getting out of jail and running to a beautiful tattooed girl. I think her name is Talia. I think her name is Tara. Yeah, Tara. Yes. And the thing is, she can sort of development, of course, this, which reveals she is an actual shapeshifter. Now, Howard is hired by a man named, I think his last name is Richards, to basically protect this amulet. His name is Jonathan Richards. And it's implied this man is a distant relative of Reed Richards. But he isn't. Nope. Who this guy is, oh my gosh. It is so laughable. Like, unless you read the Volume 3 for Marvel Team Up, you probably would have no idea. Now, he also basically comes afoul of the Black Cat, which he refers to the Black Cat as the Catwoman. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. He refers to her, as you can see right here, the Catwoman. Yes, the Catwoman. Because Black Cat is a ripoff of Catwoman from DC Comics. Though, here's the interesting thing. She actually, now the whole thing of her being in love with Spider-Man, she did that first. Catwoman ripped off from her. She's basically a cat burglar who became a crime boss. Because Slot thought that was a good idea. Now, who this guy really is. Now, I should point out, though, there's also a brief guest star appearance in issue 2 by Rocket Raccoon, of all people, because Howard got kidnapped by the Collector. No joke, he seriously did. Got kidnapped by the Collector for some reason. Now, let me show you who, basically, this guy really is. Who is this homeless man who hires Howard to protect this amulet? We also have a guest star appearance by the ringmaster of the Circus of Crime. Yeah, he's an old Marvel villain. Believe it or not, this character made his first appearance in the final issue of Incredible Hulk Volume 1 back in the 60s. Which, okay, that's actually quite interesting. Now, who is this guy? He is Telos the Untamed. Now, you're probably asking, wait, isn't this the same guy who also appeared in Captain Marvel as a good guy? Well, let me explain this character. Okay, this guy first appeared in Marvel Team Up Volume 3, issue number 24, basically toward the end of that run. This guy can't shapeshift, despite the fact he clearly can. Originally, he didn't, but somehow he can now thanks to this amulet. Yeah. Now, unless you, of course, you have read that volume, you'd probably be like, who the heck is this guy? I've never heard of him. The guy made his appearance just prior to the Civil War 1. Like, I think it's been like 14 years since this guy showed up. And this book was his first appearance since the end of that run. No joke there about that. Because here's the thing. Marvel Team Up Volume 3 ended after 25 issues. And he wants to create like a world plan to cause chaos. So he asked help from the Avengers, which is the lineup from the Mark Waid run at this point. Well, yeah, you have a guest star appearance in here. Well, of who he calls for help. Like you have the female Thor pops up in here, which is quite interesting. Let's see. The people who help Power take down this guy is, well, first he goes to Doctor Strange, which I'm actually quite happy with the fact that the artist put him in the classic Steve Ditko costume, which he is not wearing that anymore. Nope, when Waid took over his book, they had him change costume. Now, the thing about Doctor Strange is he has not changed his costume since the 90s. Yeah. So, not only Doctor Strange, but you also have a guest appearance by Fantastic Four with the logo from, I kid you not, the Fantastic Four reboot from 2015. Yes, it was during that period of time when they wore this number for some reason. Yes, Marvel thought it was a good idea for them to wear this number, despite the fact that it's associated with a really, really crap movie. So, Doctor Strange contacts, well, not only Spider-Man, we also have guest star appearances by She-Hulk, Silk, yes, Silk, one of her rare appearances she made outside of her solo title, the Sam Wilson Captain America, I think that's it. Yeah, great 2-page spread. Now, the thing with Silk is, this is probably, if you think about it, one of like 2 times she's appeared outside of a Spider-Man related comic or her own solo title. Because the only time she appeared outside a book was in the Agents of Atlas miniseries, the 3rd volume by Greg Pak. That came after War of the Realms. And of course, make references in here in the final issue, books like Fantastic 2 from 81, like, what? When the heck this book came out? Or Marvel 3-in-1. That was a reprint. I like the fact that Zordesky puts in here editorial notes, and they do mention how Tara got her scroll powers. Well, here's kind of this thing. Yeah, they mention Fantastic Four number 2, which is the debut of the Skrulls. Now, how they got rid of the Skrulls is quite silly. How? Ray Richards hypnotized the 3 of the 4 Skrulls, who was posing as them, to believe they're freaking cows. Now, they do explain that one of them they hypnotized to think that this Skrull was a duck. So, Tara ate duck meat. That was tainted. Despite the fact she's a Skrull, basically, and Howard accepts her as a friend, we also brief guest appearance by Iron Fist. And the Camilla Comics Marvel makes a brief guest appearance here. And in the end, they do defeat him, thanks to him taking on the special gauntlet that he has. Which is not... This glove he's wearing is... Oh, come on, seriously. Thank you. Okay. The gauntlet he's wearing is not the Infinity Gauntlet. Nope, it is not. If I can get this thing to work. Thank you. Okay, yes. This thing he wears in his hand, yeah, according to Howard and Doctor Strange, it's not the Infinity Gauntlet. It's the thing that's like the Infinity Gauntlet, but it really isn't. And look, female Thor. Remember her? Despite the fact this woman is actually Foster, I think this was just just after they, either just before or after they revealed that Jane Foster was female Thor. And she eliminated female Thor for a few years. So, fun. This was actually pretty fun to reread again, and I even like the fact we have brief guest appearance by the Guardians of the Galaxy, because why not? And the Guardians of the Galaxy is from the Bendis era. Yep, the Bendis era. Now, the artwork in here, the interior artwork is done by Joe Quinnis. The cover art in here is done by Rico Rizzali. They also have backup story artists done by Rob Galloway, Jay Slotor, who was the writer of the second volume of Wolverine and the X-Men, Kate Cook, and Heather Backel. This book is just pure fun. Love it. And I love the tagline here. Trapped in a world he's grown accustomed to. I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good book. And here's something quite strange though. Spider-Man appears in all 5 issues of this book. And you're probably thinking, wait, it's not a Spider-Man book, and yet he guest stars for an entire volume. Now, some of you are probably wondering, why did this volume end after only 5 issues? You want to know the reason? Pure and simple. Secret Wars hit the restart button in this book 5 years ago. Yep, that's the reason for that. Because Secret Wars had hit the restart button. This is one of a handful of books that didn't reach issue 10 before Marvel had hit the restart button for. Yeah, this one along with Ant-Man. Yeah, that relaunched the 5 issues. All new Captain America. There was also Silk that relaunched their 8 issues. So was like Squirrel Girl. I think the one that produced pretty high. That was also kind of a low book with Spider-Woman. But the relaunch, they're relaunching all these books #1, was completely unnecessary. But at least this book managed to keep the same rate with the book. Yeah, but too bad the book got canceled after 11 issues. Which makes the whole thing of relaunch the book complete pointless. Because Marvel, over the years, and it's still kind of there, but not as completely obvious as it was over the past decade. Marvel's obsession with the number 1. They have been obsessed with that number for over 10 years now. And they really have trimmed back on the relaunches, the massive amount of relaunches. Now here's the strange thing about it. The Fresh Start initiative that happened a couple years ago, that was the last issue they did. Because there was the only massive relaunch they did last year was for the X books, which is fine because it's a small amount. Not the whole freaking line of books that the company puts out. Yeah. I kind of wish this book was still around. Yeah, I kind of wish that, okay? Yeah, so that's it for this particular review. And tomorrow, I'll expect a review for One Piece and maybe their Comic Corner. And that'll probably be it for tomorrow, okay? Next video. Bye.